Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome here to Northern Colorado. Welcome to the BMW X5 45e, the new plug-in hybrid with quite a large battery pack. And welcome to our 70 mile per hour highway MPG test. I'm going to walk you through our procedures, and I'm so interested to see the results here because plug-in hybrids get great fuel economy when there's energy in the battery. But as you guys know, when we test plug-in hybrid vehicles for MPG on the highway, we always start with them completely out of electricity because if you're driving a long distance on the highway, well, you're not going to get much benefit out of the plug-in system. So let's fuel up the X5 with our traditional fueling method and calculate the MPG on our 60-mile highway, 70 mile per hour loop style test. This is the 2021 BMW X5 45e. It's really interesting. The last generation BMW X5, I believe it was called the F15, used the 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, the N20 engine, paired with a pretty small battery pack. So you didn't really have a good combustion engine and you really didn't have a good plug-in system. And in my eyes, it was a little bit of a flop. Now though, BMW has beefed this thing up for the new model year here in the G series cars, the new chassis for BMW, where now we have the 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engine that we know and love from cars like the M240i. And now we're heading to charge this thing up, or I should say fill this thing up to the brim, and with a battery completely dead, see how well it does at 70 miles an hour. You join me inside the X5 now, and let's talk about some of how we're going to get everything set up. If you take a look down here, you'll see a ton of different modes. So we have sport, hybrid, electric, adaptive. When you drive this car in hybrid mode or adaptive mode when you're cruising to your destination, you will actually, and what I should say is if you have a destination selected, it does something really cool. The car will prioritize when to use electric and when to use combustion. For example, here in Northern Colorado, we have a ton of highway, about 60 miles of highway to get down to Denver, and then a lot of inner city driving if I was heading down there for a meeting or whatever. I can put the car in automatic mode, just hybrid or adaptive, with my destination set. The car will automatically prioritize electric to get to the highway, combustion on the highway when that's working at its maximum efficiency, and then electric in the city. We actually have a whole video on this on the BMW X3 plug-in hybrid. I'll link to it in the description. But now let's start with our situation here. I have the battery completely dead, which is how we test all of our plug-in hybrids. So ran it all the way down in electric mode, then enough in hybrid mode to warm up the combustion engine. So we're all up to temperature on, I can just click one here. I've programmed it as a hotkey. Up to temperature, so everything's the way it should be. We're gonna reset our individual distances there. I'm gonna go to our trip computer here, make sure, yep, we're all reset. I'm gonna start the car in hybrid Eco Pro, so that's going to be, sort of how we run our tests, the most eco-friendly mode with retaining climate control. The car's off right now, and we're pretty much good to go at this point. So I'm going to start the car. Won't turn on because it's using that hybrid system, so it is helping a little bit at this point. No ancillary components on. We're going to run 68 degrees to 72 degrees on automatic air conditioning in eco mode. Into drive, and off we go on our test. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this does. Plug-in hybrids, in theory, shouldn't really help on the highway for MPG. However, we got a lot of fan going on here. Let's back this down one notch to auto 68 on low. The thing about this car is the way that the motor is positioned within the driveline is it's combustion engine, then electric motor, then transmission. So the electric motor's upstream of the transmission, which means it actually benefits from the shifting of gears. And I found in my testing with other BMW plug-in systems using this similar drivetrain strategy is they're actually pretty efficient on the highway because the electric motor can help. We actually haven't even kicked on the combustion yet and the battery's out. So with any plug-in hybrid, they'll always leave a little bit at the bottom of the battery pack where you can use to drive electric a bit, just like a normal hybrid. It's no different. You just lose the plug-in benefits, but we still haven't used any combustion. But we're using about 1,000 watt-hour per mile, 1 mile per kilowatt-hour. So not the most efficient on our electrical consumption there either. Our strategy here to merge up onto the highway, as usual, is a gentle acceleration where we hit 70 miles an hour at the end of the on-ramp. When the on-ramp ends, we want to hit 70 right there. That way every car gets similar levels of acceleration, and it also helps us keep the engine out of boost a little bit. Combustion engine's on now, and it's pulling us forward. So we're going to hit 70. Once we're locked in at 70, as always, we're going to GPS verify. BMWs are the biggest offenders at lying to us about speed. So we may have to do like 73, 74 indicated. And here we are, almost at 70. I'm going to lock it in. Boom, 70 indicated. We're going to pull out the GPS device, verify that's the case, and then lane center our way up all the way to Wyoming and then back here to Colorado. We're cruising along here at 72 miles an hour indicated. That is a GPS accurate 70 miles an hour. You can see I have a heads up display with some wonderful information as well. BMW has great lane centering, and we're using combustion engine, but not very much of it. I have to say, you can barely tell when this thing is on. And I'll also mention, we'll have a whole video coming on the plug-in systems. This whole video is on the combustion side. We'll have a whole video coming on the electric side, a highway, any city range test as well. But cruising along in combustion, let me just show you, it's using such a little amount of power that it's barely even in boost, just a few pounds of boost, which is nothing. So it's quiet, it's comfortable. And if you did want to drive on electric, the one thing I do want to tell you is you can. We actually did about 85, 87 miles an hour fully electric before the combustion engine even kicked on earlier when I was draining the battery pack. So pretty impressive here in the BMW X5 45e, a comfortable, quiet cabin to be in with great driver assistance, and very reasonably priced car in my opinion. We'll go through some of the statistics at the end with some results, and of course we'll see you at the turnaround point shortly. Well, we are nearing exit 7, our turnaround point, just about in 1 mile, and figured it'd be a cool opportunity to tell you a little bit about the X5. I'll have full driving reviews and stuff on my personal channel, maybe even on this one. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with the car, but take a look at this. It makes lane changes automatically on the driver assistance system, has a capacitive steering wheel, amazingly competent lane centering, comfortable car too, super quiet. It's got double seals in the doors, double glass, really awesome, well insulated car. I'm just taking it off of cruise control now. You can see we're approaching our exit up ahead. We're going to get to Gery's holding the camera. What's it called? A double diamond?
Double diamond interchange, yeah.
Double diamond interchange. You guys know the drill. Exit 7, we basically can turn left without stopping as long as there's no cross traffic. And the reason we chose this is, of course, to eliminate variables. So we want to just keep the car rolling nice and consistently through here. I think we should be good to go after this silver car. No, we're just good to go all together. And so cruising through, and then we're just going to gently, again, merge back up on the on-ramp. We're going to try and hit 70 miles an hour by the time we hit the end of the ramp. So let's carry some speed and momentum through here. We're actually in electric mode now, interestingly, and now the combustion engine's on, but it's so quiet, it barely has to work. Pretty insane. And interestingly, I've noticed the X5 keeps about a reserve of 1 mile projected range. What's that, about 5% state of charge usable in the battery pack there. So we need to maneuver around this truck, get back up to 72 miles an hour. We'll see if it's possible. 68, 69, 71, 72. And this guy's just about to get out of the way, hopefully. Yeah, that's an almost perfect situation right there on the on-ramp. Absolutely love it. No aero advantage. I should mention weather, by the way. It's about between 47 and 53 degrees, so I wouldn't really classify this as a cold weather MPG test, but it's chilly. And also, we have some wind disadvantages. So being basically a eastern wind, we're heading into the crosswind right now, and then are into the headwind. Then as we turn left to go back to Colorado down I-25, we will have a side wind. So the reason we run a loop style test, as always, is to counteract any wind or elevation differences, but with a crosswind, you kind of get hit both ways. So I would say it's impressive if this car does well in its MPG testing. I genuinely have no idea. I haven't looked at the data yet. If it can do well in this test with, it's not a huge crosswind, 10 miles an hour, somewhat chilly, well, I think it pretty much only gets better from there unless you're driving in a monsoon. Bounce in. And we are nearing the end of our highway MPG loop. This is some of the most broken concrete pavement some of the harshest roads you can find in the country, and this thing is doing a great job, even on the big 21-inch wheels. I believe they're 21s, they might be 22s. So now we're charging up the battery as I'm touching the brake pedal here. It uses a brake-by-wire blended system, so it will recharge the battery, and then once the battery can accept that much power, it will switch to friction brakes. Pulling in behind the 2 Series, which will be another video on this same channel, MPG loop. We're running them at the same time. Always fun. At what point will it shut off the combustion engine? Let's see. It might actually be off now. I don't think it is. Coming into a stop, and yeah, I think it's actually still running. Maybe not. I don't know. Some traffic coming this way. We're going to run over to the come and go as we always do. Yep, combustion engine didn't want to shut off there. When you run in Eco Pro mode, BMW always runs a little bit warmer on the temperature for oil and coolant. Well, I think they use the same oil and coolant separator just for a little bit better efficiency. If you have your combustion chamber naturally hot, you use less fuel, obviously. And up here at altitude, you actually need less fuel because there's less air. It's really kind of cheat code style, if you will. Minor differences, though. This is still a very relevant test. Moving here over into the fueling station, just creeping our way in. We're in hybrid Eco Pro mode. We're going to try not to crash into the Ram, towing a U-Haul. Don't know why they didn't just use their pickup bed. And normally I like to use the same pump where we were, so I think I'll back it into this pump, and we'll compare the results of the pump efficiency versus the MPG here on the screen. And let's take a look at the results here in the car, and then we'll compare them to the pump. The car says we traveled an average of 68.1 miles per hour. It's a 57.5 mile loop. Sometimes it's a little bit inaccurate in the BMW stuff, but GPS accurate, 57.5. 26.3 MPG, about a half a mile fully electric. Of those electric miles, that's not correct, 20 miles per kilowatt hour. So that must be, it's mostly using combustion, not electric, because that factors your entire drive. But yeah, so 26.3 doesn't seem great. Let's check the pump efficiency.
All right, time to put in the gas.
Jordan, what are you doing in this video? We haven't seen you yet. You were actually just doing the M240i.
Continuity, am I right?
Yeah. So we're going to go same situation, full on the handle, complete. We're then going to compare the pump results with the pump or the trip computer inside the iDrive system here in the car. The iDrive systems are always a little bit off, and so is the pump a little bit off, because sometimes we don't get the exact same fuel. Sometimes the speedometer's off like this car, so we average it out to get a good idea. 1.9 gallons seems okay. It's a big car, but we'll see how it handles the second click here. 30 seconds is gone. Full squeeze on the handle. And the results are 2.146. Oh. Yeah, let's calculate. Well, guys, it's always a little bit of a difficult task to figure out how to properly test MPG on plug-in hybrid vehicles, just mostly because there's so many subsystems going on and different ways to power the vehicle. In this case, I think we got it correct. We just start with the battery dead. That's where you're going to spend most of your time on the highway. We then charged it, or I should say left it empty. Got people beeping going down the streets over here. But let's get to the results. So the in-car iDrive system, what did it say, Gary?
The in-car, 26.3. 26.3
MPG, and the pump said?
26.7.
26.7. So about 26.5 MPG at a 70 mile per hour constant loop style test. Minimal wind, a little bit of crosswind here in the X5 45e. Of course, the M Sport package with the big wheels really didn't help much at all. But I gotta say, that's okay. I'm not blown away. This car is really amazing in so many categories, but I'm not quite sure if fuel economy is one of those on the highway. Now, when you combine the electric driving with the combustion driving, well, that's when you're going to get the best results of a plug-in. And this kind of speaks to my thinking of plug-ins. Once your battery's dead, then you're just hauling around all that extra weight and complexity with zero benefit. So I think if you spend most of your time in urban environments, the plug-in is the way to go. Without it, I'd be curious to run a non-plug-in X5, 35i or 40i, I guess they call it now, and see how that does in comparison. Thanks so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.